If you didn't know in Avatar: The Last Airbender, Zazon was a princess of the Fire Nation and the sister of Fire Lord Sozin. She embraced air nomad philosophy and intended to swear off her earthly possessions in exchange for a life of austerity. Zazon was born to Fire Lord Taiso and Lady Heisai. As the younger sister of Prince Sozin, she was second in line to the Fire Nation throne, though she showed no signs of firebending. Her parents and teachers pitted her against her brother Sozin to drive her brother to greater heights and to drop bending abilities out of Zazon, and the two siblings fought for as long as they could remember. The struggles failed to transform Zazon into a firebender, and her teachers turned their focus entirely on Sozin. This development was quite frustrating to Fire Lord Taiso, who basically saw his daughter as brilliant yet completely dismissed her as a potential heir due to her lack of firebending. Despite the increased focus on Sozin, Zazon refused to stop competing, studying, and growing, striving to prove herself worthy of her family legacy, and unlike her older brother, Zazon actually had a number of lasting friendships as she grew up. For instance, she had a close relationship with Zeepi, a noblewoman from the Northern Water Tribe. In 66 BG, Zazon took part in the celebrations after the announcement of Roku's avatarhood. On the night before Roku left the Fire Nation capital for the Southern Air Temples, Sozin found Zazon deep in conversation with her science tutor Dalase. Over the following time, Zazon and Dalase grew increasingly close and eventually became a couple, and the princess proudly told anyone at court about her girlfriend's great intelligence. However, their relationship did not last and they broke up after a few months. Zazon eventually began to study air nomad philosophies and came to realize that her family legacy wasn't worthy of her, and when sister Rishon came to the Fire Nation capital as a teacher, the princess devoted herself to air nomad training, hoping she might gain new skills that would make her a match for Sozin. Zazon connected with air nomad philosophies and techniques in a way that no one could have foreseen, learning air nomad styles of motion and action, and Ryushan even taught her the secret of chi blocking. During training, Zazon and Ryushan fell in love with one another, but the pairing was not advantageous to Zazon's dynasty-toppling ambitions. Neither said that they loved one another out loud, as both women understood that there were greater things at stake than their own personal happiness, and Zazon believed that she could not leave her whole life to be with Ryushan when she believed that she was the best chance to fix the Fire Nation. And she did her best to hide her feelings. Instead of running away from her responsibilities, Zazon wished to dismantle her family's legacy of corruption, eventually connecting with the Guiding Wind, which was a new movement of air nomads with anti-nobility beliefs and an active presence in the world. And soon after her brother's coronation in 58 BG, Zazon announced her intention to marry Monk Khandro, who was the Guiding Wind's leader and a popular philosopher. Though neither Zazon nor Khandro loved one another, both saw the political marriage as being worth a sacrifice, as it would pretty much give the Guiding Wind a strong foothold in the Fire Nation, while giving Zazon useful titles in her home territory. Zazon declared that she wished to renounce her titles and wealth in favor of a spiritual life, and her example was popular enough that other young nobles vowed to do the same. And while in the Guiding Wind, Zazon sensed the destabilizing element and knew she needed to undermine her brother Sozin, and Zazon and Khandro had a similar understanding, as both had a lot to gain from working together as allies to take down the Fire Nation nobility, and she knew that Sozin became sloppy when he was angry. But she wondered if she could trick him into revealing his schemes to her, as she had seen Sozin's avarice firsthand and knew that it was only a matter of time until he made a big move to show off his power. While she knew that political backstabbing was not in line with air nomad ideals, she was willing to abide that evil if it meant that she could ultimately do good. Sozin couldn't control his rage when Zazon proposed to Khandro and saw the Guiding Wind's belief as a threat, which he was willing to stop by any means necessary, and refused to back down from fighting Zazon now that he was Fire Lord. Eventually, the Fire Nation capital began to plan for the royal wedding of Zazon and Khandro, with feasts and festivals being held in the city to celebrate the nuptials, with the princess herself being given the opportunity to schedule activities, and Zazon took the opportunity to plan a pre-wedding symposium, wishing to promote air nomad ideals to Fire Nation nobles. She invited high-ranking nobles, military officers, and the royal court to the event, and left it open to all other members of the public. Wishing to sway the minds of her peers, she planned to discuss her betrothed's lessons that would center upon the Guiding Wind's teachings and a refutation of Sozin's xenophobic propaganda campaigns. Well aware of Zazon's plan, Sozin tasked Minister Ziyando with the plot to undermine the princess and discredit the guiding wind. The minister worked with Sozin's bodyguard Mio to have Fire Nation soldiers pose as air nomads, with Mio equipping her team with several clever devices that could give the impression of airbending. The supposed radical air nomads would then attack nobles while espousing anti-nobility and xenophobic anti-Fire Nation propaganda. Zazon was unaware of the plot, but Ryoshan was able to uncover the plans. However, Ryoshan was being watched and couldn't personally warn the princess, instead having to delegate to her allies, that being Nyanshi, Ezra, Bowen, and Zebi. And from the history of the show, it can be ascertained that Sozin's plan worked and the Fire Nation began to despise the air nomads. All of this may have actually been another reason for him wiping out the air nomads besides finding the avatar. All this plotting from the airbenders, especially with his sister, he saw this as a strike to his ego and an attempt to overthrow him. And as a result, I'm guessing bro couldn't wait to wipe out all the air nomads. But after the 100-Year War, a Fire Nation ship was named Zazon's Hope in the honor of the princess, and the vessel was used to transport the Fire Nation's reparation payments to the Earth Kingdom. Now, it's cool to see a character that was never mentioned before, and she is technically canon as she comes from the official Avatar role-playing game, so I mean, all this actually is legit, so that's pretty cool. But if you want to see like more information about her and like just the information from this video, all that will be linked down below. But if you want to see more videos like this, just explaining Avatar lore, then also just let me know down below. But if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more from me, go check out my other channels and go follow me on TikTok, which will be linked down below. But with all that out of the way, I will see you in the next one. Peace.